We love trying a new steakhouse when we can, so when several of our subscribers suggested we try 1818 Chophouse in Edwardsville, Illinois, we were excited to check it out and make a video for you. We were blown away by the food here, and in this video, we're going to show you what we got and what we recommend you try when you visit this local steakhouse just outside of St. Louis. We've been for both lunch and dinner, and while they were both good, dinner was definitely our favorite and is what we recommend and are going to tell you about in this video.
For our appetizer, we ordered the pork belly deviled eggs. There were so many different flavors that took turns hitting your taste buds one right after the other. From salty to sour to smoky to spicy, it really was an incredible journey of flavors. The best part was the salty and smoky bacon on top. It was everything. This made me wish all deviled eggs had bacon on the top. It came with 4 deviled eggs, so it was the perfect amount for each of us to try one. They were some of the best deviled eggs we've had, and if you try this restaurant, you should definitely order them.
At dinner time, the table is provided with bread and butter, which I was excited to try. The bread itself had an incredible amount of flavor. The spices were really nice, and it was salty, but not in an overpowering way. The butter was whipped and super fluffy, but surprisingly didn't have much flavor at all, but it was still a nice addition to the bread. The bread was soft on the bottom and crunchy on the top, and overall it was really good. I liked it a lot and had to keep myself from eating too much so I wouldn't spoil my dinner.
I started with the soup du jour, which was their seasonal Brussels sprout soup. It reminded me of a really good cream of broccoli soup, but with a Brussels sprout flavor instead. It was so very creamy, and with the addition of small bits of bacon for texture and saltiness, it was one of the best soups I've ever eaten. Normally I'm a salad guy, but this soup made me want to go back for more. As a side note, when we went for lunch, I tried the grilled pineapple salad, which was a butter lettuce blend with a toasted coconut, blueberries, candied pecans, and a rum rice vinaigrette. The pineapple and blueberries were incredibly fresh, and the candied pecans added the perfect sweet crunch. All the flavors and textures combined together to make one of the best salads I've ever had.
I love salads with strawberries on top, so when I read the description of their house bistro salad, I knew I had to try it. It came with a Tuscan green mix, fresh strawberries, Vermont chèvre goat cheese, crispy toasted almonds, and a really nice raspberry poppy seed vinaigrette. If that sounds good to you, it's because it was. This was probably the best salad I've ever eaten. The greens were fresh and the strawberries were so juicy and sweet, and I've never had a goat cheese quite as good as this one. It was incredibly creamy and almost had a consistency like whipped cream cheese. It wasn't strong at all and seriously put this salad over the top. The almonds had a nice crunch to them, but they were sliced really thin to where the texture was just right and not too crunchy. The vinaigrette was absolutely delicious. It was just the right amount of sweet and brought everything together perfectly. If you like this kind of salad, I can't recommend it enough.
Her salad looked so good that she let me try a bite, and it was so refreshing and tasty. When we went back for lunch, I ordered one for myself, and it was the best salad I've ever had.
I ordered the baby iceberg salad for my starter, but I opted for cheddar cheese and ranch dressing instead of the normal blue cheese crumble and blue cheese dressing, since I hate blue cheese. I was just expecting a regular old salad, but was very surprised at the amount of different flavors that this salad had. The ranch dressing was very flavorful and creamy. All of the vegetables were super fresh and crispy, and the bacon was just the best thing to tie all of it together. I was expecting crunchy bacon bits, but this bacon was exceptional. It was cooked perfectly so that it had a little crunch, but not a break your teeth type of crunch. This was probably one of the best salads that I have ever eaten at a restaurant before, at least as a starter. I did eat this salad again on another visit for lunch, and it was just as good the second time around as it was the first time.
For my meal, I ordered a few things from the accompaniments part of the menu. The menu says that these sides are enough to feed 2 to 4 people, so they are big enough that I was able to turn them into a meal and still have leftovers to take home with me. I started with the 4 cheese macaroni, which was a cavatappi pasta with cheddar, smoked Gouda, Havarti, and Gruyere cheese, topped with Parmesan breadcrumbs. I requested for the breadcrumbs to be left off of the top, and they were kind enough to accommodate me. This mac and cheese was some of the most incredible I've ever had. It was oh so creamy, and it didn't have an overpowering cheese flavor that can sometimes ruin a good mac and cheese. It was perfection. The next thing I tried was the truffle wild mushroom risotto. This was the very best risotto I have ever had. It even topped Gordon Ramsay's risotto that I tried at Hell's Kitchen in Las Vegas. It was so creamy and delicious, with no one flavor that overwhelmed you because all of them combined perfectly together. The mushrooms were very fresh, cooked well, and were a great great addition. My one complaint was that the risotto was more on the al dente side, which is not my preference. I honestly couldn't pick my favorite between the two dishes that I ordered because they were both equally divine. When we went for lunch, I ordered the brown sugar brined fried chicken, and I just had to mention in this video how incredible it was as well.
I ordered the porterhouse steak, which was perfectly cooked to a medium temperature. I debated getting the optional roasted garlic hunter sauce to top it off, but ultimately decided for my first time eating here to just let the steak speak for itself. I am so glad I did. The steak didn't need any extra flavoring. It was so well seasoned and had a great char on it, which really enhanced the taste. This steak made me so happy. We were told by our waiter that 1818 will change the flavor of their whipped potatoes that come with most of their meals. Tonight's flavor was French onion, and I didn't really care for them at all, which was disappointing as I usually love that flavor combination. The French onion taste was just way too strong and overpowered the potatoes to the point where they were not enjoyable. I just stopped eating them after a couple bites and I never went back.
For my main entree, I ordered the porterhouse pork chop with a loaded baked potato. I grill pork chops all of the time, but when this pork chop was set down in front of me by our server, my expectations were completely blown out of the water. It was nothing like what I cook on my own grill. This pork chop was extremely thick and had a lot of the natural, juicy flavor to it. Usually when I order a pork chop at a restaurant, it turns out really dry, even though I order it medium to medium well. 1818 brines the pork chop for 24 hours in a brown sugar brine for optimal flavor retention. With it being a porterhouse, it comes with the strip and the tenderloin both. You can definitely taste the difference between the two different cuts of meat. My favorite was the tenderloin portion of this pork chop. It was so soft and packed with flavor. If I could order a complete tenderloin pork chop, I would. The strip was very tasty and again was cooked perfectly, being as tender and juicy as it could possibly be. Next time we make it back to 1818, I will for sure be ordering another one of these porterhouse pork chops. The whipped potato of the day was a French onion flavor, which did not sound appealing to me, so I opted for the loaded baked potato. The potato was packed on the outside with salt, which added extra flavor to it, but the potato was still somewhat undercooked in the middle, causing it to be a little bit crunchy. Honestly, I've had better baked potatoes elsewhere, and I would probably try a different side option next time we do go back to this restaurant.
For my main meal, I ordered the filet mignon steak. I requested they butterfly it and grill it to medium well, and it came out perfect. This steak was so incredibly soft, it basically melted in my mouth. The texture was buttery smooth and the flavor was divine. It was easily one of the softest and most delicious steaks I've ever had, and it even rivaled some of the steaks I've tried in Las Vegas. My only complaint was that some bites had a lot of strong pepper on them, which I'm not a huge fan of, but thankfully there wasn't an abundance of pepper on the entire thing. I would definitely order the filet mignon again and would highly recommend it to anyone looking for a buttery soft steak with a ton of flavor. As we mentioned earlier, the whipped potatoes were a bit of a disappointment. Mine were very thick and weren't creamy at all like I was expecting them to be. Also, the French onion flavor was incredibly strong and way overpowering. They weren't horrible, but they definitely weren't my cup of tea. There isn't actually a dessert menu here because the desserts rotate and change frequently, but the waiter brought out a platter showing all of the delicious desserts that they had that night, and oh my goodness, it was so hard to pick one. They all looked so good.
I ordered the salted caramel cake for dessert, and oh my goodness, it was amazing. It had a great caramel flavor without being overly sweet, which can often happen with these types of desserts. It was light and airy and was the perfect ending to my amazing meal.
For dessert, I ordered the flourless chocolate cake with a raspberry drizzle topping. The cake was a thicker texture than your average cake and very rich with a dark chocolate flavor to it. The raspberry drizzle really helped balance the super sweet flavor with a fruity twist, but yet it did not leave annoying raspberry seeds stuck in your teeth like normal with anything raspberry flavored. I really enjoyed this dessert and it paired very well with the other exceptional food that I had at this restaurant.
For dessert, I had the chocolate chip cookie cake. It really had an interesting texture. I was expecting more of a cake-like consistency, but this was more gooey, like an actual chocolate chip cookie. It also had a cream cheese center, which combined well with the rest of the cake. This dessert was so good, I can't wait to try it again.
Surprise, surprise, I tried the peanut butter tower cake, and oh my goodness, it was divine. The peanut butter flavor was subtle but delicious, and the chocolate with the caramel melted on top was heavenly. It also had a really nice topping that had a crunch that kind kind of reminded me of a Butterfinger candy bar. It was served warm in a cast iron skillet, and it was truly the perfect end to this incredible meal. Another great restaurant in Edwardsville is Bella Milano. While we haven't done a video on this exact location, we did a review of their location in Springfield, and you can watch that next here.